Welcome to Value Plays Only, where Derevi just gives your creatures vigilance. Today we have Abi from Monolith Gaming, playing Ulalek, Fused Atrocity. This deck is an editor's nightmare. It looks to set up 2 instances of Ulalek's triggered ability, setting off a chain of copies that include mana abilities and payoffs, winning the game with only abilities on the stack. His hand contains a Liberator Urza's Battlethopter, Wan Shi Tong Librarian, Carol Attentive First Year, Mindbreak Trap, Mox Diamond, Lotus Petal, and CEDH Traders. Dan is playing Rograkh, son of Rograkh, and Ishai Ujatai Dragon Speaker. This Jeskai mid-range deck is all about Rhystic Study. It looks to land and clone card advantage engines, hoarding resources until it can win with Underworld Breach. His hand contains a Fairy Mastermind, Wan Shi Tong Librarian, Misdirection, Chrome Mox, and Arid Mesa. His London mulligans are Flash Photography and Red Elemental Blast. Tyler's playing Marneus Calgar. This Esper value pile is chock-a-block full of token generators that Marneus turns into card advantage. It can win with Thassa's Oracle or Hullbreaker Horror Loops. His hand contains a Vampiric Tutor, Culling the Weak, Tataru Taru, Sudden Substitution, Arid Mesa, Hollowed Fountain, and Talon Gates of Madara. John is playing Lonis, Cryptozoologist. This is a creature combo deck looking to use Lonis' abilities to press the advantage with clues or stumble into a convoluted Shrieking Drake loop. His hand contains a Mystic Remora, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, Phyrexian Metamorph, Academy Manufacturer, Starfield Vocalist, and Boseiju Who Endures. And with that, let's see some value plays. Tyler starts things off with an Arid Mesa as land for turn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a Scrubland. He passes the turn. John casts a Mox Diamond, discarding Boseiju Who Endures as it enters. He casts a Mystic Remora. Tyler responds with a Vampiric Tutor. He searches up a card to the top of his library and loses 2 life. John then passes the turn, missing his land drop. Abi casts Mox Diamond, discarding CEDH Traders as it enters. Mystic triggers and John draws. He casts Lotus Petal. Mystic triggers and John draws. He passes the turn, also missing a land drop. Dan plays an Arid Mesa as land for turn. He casts Chrome Mox. Mystic triggers and John draws. He imprints Misdirection as it enters. He then pays life and cracks Arid Mesa. In response, Abi flashes in a Wan Shi Tong Librarian. He then fetches up a Tundra. Wan Shi Tong triggers to draw. Dan casts his commander, Rograkh, son of Rograkh. He passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays a Hollowed Fountain as land for turn. Into play on tap, paying 2 life. He casts a Tataru Taru. It enters and triggers targeting John on the condition that John let his Remora die. John says deal. He needs every card he can get. In response, Dan flashes in Fairy Mastermind. John and Tyler draw, and Tataru and Fairy trigger. Dan draws and Tyler makes a tap treasure. He then casts Lotus Petal. Mystic triggers and John draws. Tyler passes the turn. John untaps and in his upkeep he lets his Remora die. He plays a Gemstone Caverns as land for turn. He casts a Wild Growth, enchanting his Gemstone Caverns. He casts Mana Vault. He casts Phyrexian Metamorph. It enters as a copy of Tataru Taru. It triggers to let John and Abi draw. Both the Taros and Mastermind trigger. Dan draws and John and Tyler make tap treasures. John then passes the turn. Abi untaps and draws. He plays a Tarnished Citadel's land for turn. He passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a Plateau as land for turn. He goes to combat swinging Fairy at Tyler. He takes the damage and Dan passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Exotic Orchard as land for turn. He casts his commander, Marneus Calgar. He then passes the turn. John untaps and draws. Mana Vault deals 1 to him. He casts Gilded Drake. Tyler slams his head. He says if John puts this in targeting Marneus, he's going to take action. John says that's fine. Dan says he will also take action if John goes after Mastermind and shows him a card. John says that's fine. Gilded Drake enters and triggers targeting Fairy Mastermind. Dan responds with a deflecting swat. He changes Gilded Drake to target Tataru Taru. Gilded Drake and Tataru swap and John lets his clone die. He then casts Piper Wright, Public Reporter. John then passes the turn. In his end step, Abi casts Enlightened Tutor. Dan responds with a Wan Shi Tong Librarian. Abi then searches up a Mystic Remora to the top of his library. Wan Shi Tong triggers to draw. Tataru triggers to make a tap treasure. The turn then moves to Abi. Abi untaps and draws. He casts a Mystic Remora. He then goes to combat swinging Wan Shi Tong at John. He takes the damage and Abi passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He plays a CEDH Traders as land for turn. He casts his other commander, Ishai Ujatai Dragon Speaker, trying to put a clock on this game. He then goes to combat and attacks John with Mastermind and Wan Shi Tong. John says he's the Simic Clue deck, but no one cares. He takes the damage, and Dan passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Talon Gates of Madara as land for turn, triggering to phase out Ishai. He casts a Charismatic Conqueror. Tyler goes to combat swinging Marneus and Gilded Drake at John. He takes 9, and Tyler passes the turn. John untaps and draws. Mana Vault deals 1 to him. He says be cool about this, and casts Academy Manufacturer. It enters and Conqueror triggers and John taps it. John goes to combat. He shows Abi a card and says if he can get in, he can hold up this. Abby agrees, and John swings Piper right at him. He takes the damage, and Piper triggers to make a clue, food, and treasure thanks to main factor. Conqueror triggers 3 times. John taps 2 of them and leaves the treasure up. Tyler makes a vampire. Marneus triggers to draw. Tataru triggers to make a tapped clue, food, and treasure. John then passes the turn. Abby untaps, and in his upkeep he pays to keep Remora. He plays Mishra's Workshop as land for turn. He goes to combat and swings Wan Shitong at Tyler. He takes it, and Abby passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. He goes to combat and swings Wan Shitong at John and Fairy at Tyler. They take the damage, and Dan passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Morphic Pool as land for turn. He swings Conqueror, Gilded Drake, and Marneus at John. John takes 11, and Tyler passes the turn. In his end step, John casts Cyclonic Rift on Charismatic Conqueror. Mystic and Ishai trigger. Dan gets a counter, and Abby draws. Tataru makes a tap treasure, food, and clue. Tyler responds with a Culling the Weak, sacrificing a vampire. Mystic and Ishai trigger to get a counter and draw. He adds 4 black mana and then overloads a Cyclonic Rift. Mystic and Ishai trigger to get a counter and draw. Mastermind then triggers to draw. John begs them not to let Tyler get away with this, but everyone passes priority. Dan floats a blue, and then all non-land, non-Tyler permanents are bounced to hand. Conquerors then bounce to hand. Tyler flashes in Fairy Mastermind. Dan responds with a Wan Shitong Librarian with X equals 2. It enters and triggers to draw. Abby flashes in a Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter. Mastermind then resolves, and Tyler passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He casts Mana Vault. He goes to pass the turn, discarding to hand size. Abby untaps and draws. He casts the One Ring. Liberator triggers to get a counter. It enters and triggers to gain protection. He taps it to draw a card. Fairy triggers to draw. He then plays Manamo, School at Water's Edge as land for turn. He recasts Mystic Remora. Abby passes the turn, discarding to hand size. Dan untaps and draws. He casts a Fairy Mastermind. He casts Tataru Taro. It enters and triggers targeting John. They both draw, and Tataru and Mastermind trigger. Tyler draws, and Dan makes a tap treasure. He casts Chrome Mox. Mystic triggers to draw. Dan imprints Ishai Ujitai Dragon Speaker. He then casts Rograkh, Son of Rograkh. He plays Marsh Flats as land for turn. City Traders triggers to sacrifice. He pays Life and cracks it, fetching up a Volcanic Island. Dan can't do this, but everyone is delirious from triggers. Dan then passes the turn. Tyler untaps and draws. He plays Urza Saga as land for turn, getting his first counter. He casts Tataru Taru. It enters and triggers to give John a draw. Tataru, Mastermind trigger. Dan draws, makes a tap treasure, and then Tyler makes a tap treasure, and Marneus triggers to draw. He goes to combat, swinging Marneus at Dan. He takes the damage, and Tyler passes the turn. John untaps and draws. He plays his second land of the game, Scalding Tarn. He pays life and cracks it, fetching up a tropical island. Wan Shitong triggers to draw. Tataru triggers to make Tyler a treasure. Marneus triggers to draw. Tataru triggers to make Dan a treasure. Welcome to Slop Hell from 1 fetch. He casts Mox Diamond. Mystic triggers to draw. John discards Cavern of Souls as it enters. He casts the Cabbage Merchant. He then casts Academy Manufacturer. Abby says he's going to let this happen to help get someone to fight against Tyler and Dan. John passes priority, and Abby flashes in a Mox Diamond. Cabbage Man makes one of each. He discards a land as it enters. John then casts Wild Growth. Mystic triggers to draw 2. 2 Fairies trigger. Tyler draws and Fairy triggers again. Dan draws and Fairy triggers again for Tyler. Dan then draws. Finally, John can pass his turn. Abby untaps, and in his upkeep Remora and the One Ring trigger. He takes 1 and then taps the ring to draw 2 cards. Tataru, Fairy, and Tataru trigger. Tyler makes a treasure. Marneus triggers to draw. Tyler then draws. Fairy triggers again for Dan to draw. He then draws again. Tyler's Fairy triggers to draw. Tataru then makes a tap treasure. Game actions are real simple right now. Abby then lets his Remora die. He plays Command Towers, land for turn. He casts a Rhystic Study. Cabbage Man makes one of each. He then passes the turn. Dan untaps and draws. Dan plays a Misty Rainforest as land for turn. He casts a Burgi, God of Storytelling. Rhystic triggers and Abby draws. Tataru trigger. Tyler makes a treasure and Marneus triggers to draw. Dan then makes a tap treasure. Burgi resolves over some grumbles. He casts Mystic Remora. Burgi, Cabbage Man, a Rhystic trigger. Abby draws, 2 Fairies trigger. Tyler draws, and Fairy triggers again. Dan draws, Fairy triggers again, and Tyler draws. Dan then draws. John makes his tokens, and Dan adds a red mana. Tyler says this is the straw that breaks the camel's back and casts Fierce Guardianship on Remora. Cabbage Man, a Rhystic trigger. Abby draws, and John makes his tokens. Mystic is then countered. Dan then casts Mirror Maid. Burgi, Cabbage Man, a Rhystic trigger. Abby draws, John makes his tokens, and Dan makes a red. Tyler casts Sudden Substitution. John asks what the hell this is as it targets Gilded Drake and Mirror Maid. Cabbage Man, a Rhystic trigger. Abby draws, and John makes his tokens. Dan gains control of Gilded Drake, and Tyler gains control of Mirror Maid on the stack. Dan pays life and cracks Misty Rainforest, fetching up a Steam Vents. Into play on tap, paying 2 life. Dan then responds with a Sudden Substitution of his own. We are really descending into hell here. He targets Gilded Drake and Mermaid again. Bergie, Cabbage Man, Aristic Trigger. Abby draws. John makes his tokens and Dan makes a red. Gilded Drake and Mermaid do their little dance again into their original ownership. Tyler responds again with a Force of Negation, exiling Swan Song as an alternate cost. Cabbage Man, Aristic Trigger. Abby draws and John makes tokens. Dan wonders how deep this is going to go. Dan responds with a Mind Break Trap on Force. Bergie, Cabbage Man, Aristic Trigger. Dan pays, John makes his tokens, and Dan makes a red again. Force is exiled, and Mermaid finally resolves as a copy of Rhystic Study. He casts Springleaf Drum. Bergie, Cabbage Man, Aristic Trigger. Abby draws, John makes tokens, and Dan makes a red. He decides this has been enough spells and goes to combat, swinging Wan Shi Tong at Abby. He takes the damage, and Dan passes the turn, discarding to hand size. Tyler untaps and draws. In his first main phase, Urza's Saga triggers. Abby responds with a Phyrexian Metamorph. Liberator and Rhystic Study trigger. In response, Tyler flashes in at Orcish Bowmasters. 2 Rhystics trigger. Dan draws, Tataru triggers to make a treasure. Marneus triggers to draw. Fairy triggers and Dan draws. Fairy triggers and Tyler draws. Tataru triggers and Dan makes a treasure. Abby then draws. Bowmaster enters and triggers targeting Cabbage Man. John responds with an Archdruid's Charm, with the mode to search for a creature or land, hoping to get Talon Gates of Madara. 2 Rhystics trigger and John pays for both. It resolves and John goes searching. He realizes he doesn't play Talon Gates and puts a Shifting Woodlands into play. Wan Shi Tong triggers to draw. Bowmaster triggers again. When he amasses, Marneus triggers to draw. John then pays to crack food and gain 3 life. Cabbage Man then dies. Dan finally draws for his Rhystic trigger and Bowmaster triggers, killing Rograkh. Liberator gets a counter, and Metamorph finally resolves and enters as a Tataru Taru, shocking the table into silence. John double checks he doesn't want a Bowmaster, but Abby is sure. Tataru triggers to give John and Abby draws. Tataru triggers to make a tap treasure. Saga then gets its second counter. With an empty stack, Tyler casts Mystic Remora. 2 Rhystics trigger. Dan draws and Bowmaster kills Fairy Mastermind. Abby draws and Bowmaster pings Academy Manufactor for 1. He then recasts Charismatic Conqueror. John screams as 2 Rhystics trigger. Dan draws and Bowmaster pings Academy. Abby draws and Bowmaster triggers targeting Academy. Abby responds with a Mana Bolt. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Dan draws and Bowmaster pings Liberator. Tyler then draws. Abby then casts Dismember on Bowmaster. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Dan draws. Bowmaster hits Liberator and Tyler draws. Tyler then lets Bowmaster die. John now feels like acting and activates Shifting Woodland to make a copy of Piper Wright, Public Reporter. He pays 2 to crack a clue. Piper triggers to put a +1/+1 counter on Academy Manufactor. John then draws. Mastermind triggers to draw. He then takes another damage but doesn't die. With Conqueror still on the stack, Abby casts Voltaic Key. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Dan and Tyler draw. Key resolves and he uses it to untap Mana Vault. Abby flashes in Basalt Monolith. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Dan and Tyler draw. Charismatic Conqueror finally resolves. Tyler then plays an Ancient Tomb as land for turn. He casts Mana Vault. 2 Rhystic trigger and both players draw. Abby responds with a Mental Misstep on Mana Vault. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Dan and Tyler draw. Tyler says this is important and casts Force of Will, paying a life and exiling Valley Floodcaller as an alternate cost. 2 Rhystics trigger and both players draw. Dan steps in and casts Force of Will, paying a life and exiling Fierce Guardianship. Mystic, Rhystic, and Bergie trigger. Dan makes a red and both players draw. Force counters Mana Vault and Force counters Mental. Tyler then casts Mox Diamond. 2 Rhystics trigger and both players draw. He pitches a Godless Shrine as it enters. Tyler casts Hullbreaker Horror. 2 Rhystics trigger and both players draw. Abby responds with a Mind Break Trap on Hullbreaker Horror. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Dan and Tyler draw. Hullbreaker is exiled and Tyler somehow keeps going with a Mox Opal. 2 Rhystics trigger and both players draw. Tyler goes to combat and swings Marneus, the Orc Army, Gilded Drake, and Fairy Mastermind at Dan. The army should be summoning sick here, but the table don't notice with how long this turn is gone. Dan blocks Marneus with Wan Shi Tong and Marneus dies. In his second main phase, Tyler casts Ocelot Pride. 2 Rhystics trigger and both players draw. Tyler attempts to pass his turn. In his end step, Dan casts Born Upon a Wind. Mystic, Rhystic, and Bergie trigger. Dan makes a red and then pays. Tyler draws. Abby responds with a Force of Will, paying a life and exiling Flusterstorm as an alternate cost. Mystic and Rhystic trigger. Both players draw. Amazingly, Born is countered, and the turn then moves to John. John untaps, just happy to be alive. He casts his commander, Lonis, Cryptozoologist. 2 Rhystics trigger. Dan draws, both Tataru's trigger to make a tap treasure. Abby then draws. Lonis enters and Conqueror triggers. John taps Lonis. He plays an island as land for turn. He then casts Urza, Lord High Artificer. 2 Rhystics trigger. Dan draws and Fairy triggers to draw. Abby then draws and Fairy triggers to draw. Abby responds with a Mox Opal. Mystic and Rhystic trigger and both players draw. Opal resolves and Conqueror makes a vampire. Dan now steps in and casts Disrupting Shoal, exiling Gifts Ungiven as an alternate cost. Rhystic, Bergie, and Mystic trigger. Tyler draws and Dan makes a red, and Abby draws. John cannot believe his luck, and Urza is countered. He then casts Mox Opal. 2 Rhystics and Mystic trigger and everyone draws. He casts a Flesh Duplicate. 2 Rhystic's trigger and both players draw. It enters as a copy of Ocelot Pride. Lonis triggers to make a clue and Conqueror triggers. John taps Ocelot. Abi responds with an Honor-Worn Shaku. Mystic and Rhystic trigger and both players draw. He taps his Legends to make some extra colorless mana to activate Talon Gates of Moderate in hand. It enters and triggers to phase Academy Manufactor. Lonis then makes a clue. John, fully stopped, has to pass the turn. Abi untaps and in his upkeep, the One Ring deals 2 to him. He draws and Mana Vault deals 1 to him. He plays Ancient Tomb as land for turn. He casts his commander, Ulalek, Fused Atrocity. Rhystic triggers and Dan draws. 2 Tataros make tap treasures. Ulalek then resolves. He casts Sowing Mycospawn. Mycospawn, Ulalek, and Rhystic trigger. Dan draws, then Abi holds priority and activates Voltaic Key, targeting Basalt Monolith. He holds priority and casts Shields of Velasvel. Ulalek, Rhystic, and Mystic trigger. Dan and Tyler draw. Then, Abi pays for the Ulalek ability, making a copy of Mycospawn and Velasvel, then copying the abilities of Mycospawn, Ulalek, and Voltaic Key. At this point, every time the key resolves, untapping Basalt, he can pay 2 of the 3 mana it makes into Ulalek to copy all the spells and abilities on the stack again. He uses this loop to make infinite colorless mana. He also creates infinite copies of Mycospawn on the stack and the Mycospawn ability. He lets those abilities resolve to put out all the lands from his deck onto the battlefield and makes 1 million Mycospawn bodies. He then casts Spawn Gang Commander and ignores all the triggers. Abi can now pay some of his infinite mana to start flinging his Sowing Mycospawn copies at his opponents one by one until they're all dead. And with that, Abi finally wins the game. So, what did we learn today? Sometimes the slop is real. As long as you have a Rhystic, Mystic, Esper, Ledger, Poliwag, Quan Shi Tong, and Ogma, you can just sit back and wait for your window. If you have any tips for the video, leave them below. Subscribe if you feel like it. Until next time, keep making value plays.
Phyrexian Metamorph.
There's
As
no
a copy
way
of
you
Tatari
gave him
Taro.
that. You wanna pass it back?
Huh?
John, you wanna pass it back?
I don't know. You cost me my only draw.
You were gonna
in
fucking
shit.
pet pitch that.
Dude, I was gonna pay for that.
No, you weren't.
Oh shit. That doesn't change anything.
That's the Sharpie. Dang.
I'll fix that.
I've thrown a lot of those proxies away. Like, damn, this happens. I fucked up.
Killed a drink.
God, fuck.
Wow. I don't want to do this. I'm a nice guy at heart.
Alright, target something different.
No.
Target something that's not my border, I'm gonna fucking blow us both out. What's happening, dude?
What? What are you saying?
Don't target. I think you
Why?
should take Tataru.
Show me something.
I'll back it up. How's
Show me
that?
something.
I don't want you to take Marneus either. I want you to take Tataru.
I'm not gonna get Marneus.
Okay, yeah.
He's
gonna blow
fucking-
us all out.
He's gonna fucking kill me. Yeah.
I don't want to lose Fairy Mastermind.
Yeah.
You are going to lose Fairy Mastermind.
No, he's not. He's very strong.
Oh, God.
What are you?
I'm not gonna stop that.
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, okay, sure.
He's just trying to pull all this
I'm
interaction
gonna
out
do
of our
deflecting
hand. It's
swap.
crazy.
And I'm gonna have.
I have to fight off this, like...
I pulled a D swap for you.
It's not Ulalek. It's me.
I'll be honest, I was looking at you. It's so obvious I should have Marneus and Tataru together. And while I'm talking to you about how I'm obviously going to take Marneus, Dan's just like licking his lips and like sweating. And he's like, I'll show you this. Don't come at me.
I was just like,
Okay, use it then.
I'm like, how do I like propose this so it's effective?
I want you to use that. And then we both, I didn't mean it. There's a single Tataru trigger. I didn't know.
Yes. I got 9 coming at John.
Yeah.
This clock is quick, boy.
Dude, I'm the fucking Cynic Clue token deck.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
Boy.
yes, dude, no, it's not good.
The menace.
Yeah.
Look what I'm discarding, dude.
dude.
Trigger Piper Right. Shut up!
I hate that card. Why is that card named Piper
I
Right?
made Captain Deflecto.
Guys, I'm Marneus, brother. I'm trying to keep up. Come on, man.
Oh my god, I
I'm
hate
trying
him.
to just
Me
like...
too, bro. No
He's
one's
getting
any
all of my
engines.
treasures.
You need lands?
I do need.
You have a One Ring though. I'm gonna
I
be
do.
There's a
honest.
One Ring and a fucking
And a Fury,
Remora
yeah.
and 5 fucking mana.
John, I'm gonna give you a card if you want it.
Oh my god.
If you want it.
Wow.
Some gratitude would be good.
Yeah. Oh, tasty crumbles. Oh, good at 3 drop.
So tasty, crumble. Hey, I got good news for you, John. I'm planning to cast mine too, so
Oh, great.
you're poised
Oh.
to take over,
Hell
brother.
yeah, brother.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah.
My neck will be stepped on in the gutter. He wouldn't dare share any of his riches.
Unless you want to tell me what you're doing with this.
I'm gonna get a Gilded Drake and I'm gonna take Marneus.
That's exactly what I thought, yeah.
Dude, John's gonna make the second Dan and I start fighting though, John makes 5 million artifacts.
Trillion.
Dude, we can't fight.
I know,
dude.
we can't fight. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
But I want to cast 13 cards this turn.
What am I supposed to do?
Unknowable. If you let him draw, so you draw, he draws, you draw again, you make a treasure, he draws, you make a treasure, you draw. And it's real bad for you if he draws a second
Let's get our
card,
own
dude.
fairy masterminds. I like this.
How is that a negative for you in any way?
Sure, fuck it. You can
You
draw.
either pay a mana or you draw 2, he draws 3, you
Alright,
both pay
fairy
mana.
trigger.
Yeah. And now, do you want to respond to Mirror Maidens?
I do want to respond. Such a stupid response.
Okay,
Are you commandeer that shit? Are you commandeering it back?
Sudden substitution.
I hate this game.
You're good.
Holy
I knew
shit.
that's what it was gonna be. I should have kept my fish around.
The one turn you let it go. Keep going.
John's like the little red devil on your shoulder.
So it's like,
Right.
I'm just giving you cards.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
So
Yeah, he's got more than like both of us now. How many cards in your head?
I have no idea.
he's got a million
6,
cards.
7, 8,
Yeah, I'm gonna pay for yours. I'm gonna pay for yours.
14 cards.
More than a million.
Yeah, dude.
Bring more than a million. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna pay for yours.
This is like
Hey,
his last.
you're passive, right? This is your instant.
No.
right? Oh,
We haven't even entered my
I'm
main
sorry.
phase.
This is the start of
We're in your
phase.
phase. We're in
Yeah,
your
at the
phase.
start of my main phase, I had a saga trigger going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, can he shoot Rograkh?
I would have loved to have Marneus.
You separate into 2 20-card
He's got
hands.
so many cards in
Why did you separate your hand in half?
because
The playables and not playables.
Yeah,
Let me do the
for
same.
No way.
We're just clearing the path for John right now.
John.
That's 2 forcibles gone.
Alright, let's go.
What could it be?
Is Mox Opal good?
Yeah,
guys gonna
yeah,
draw?
Yeah, I draw.
We'd be so
I'm
dead
so
to
fucking-
Oh my god, I should have just cloned Bowmasters for
yeah.
this.
Dude, that's why I was like,
Over.
yo,
Yeah,
we
you
can
would
start
be
fighting.
crushing
Bowman is
it.
gonna be-
I couldn't believe you did.
That's why I said, but I'm gonna go to combat. I should have done this a long time.
Actually, before you go to combat.
Your mana doesn't change.
You don't lose the mana.
Oh, I
so-
don't. Who cares?
Yeah.
You go to combat.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
Dan's
gonna
got
go
something.
to- Yeah, 100%.
I
Alright,
don't.
Dan, here's 8, and here's 6 more, Dan, and here's a Gilded Drake, and a Master. What do you got, Dan?
That sucks, huh?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna block.
I think we should try to force Dan out of the cave.
Dude, amen. Look at it. He's got 40 hands.
I have to
No way, he's not holding on to like every.
So tired, Dan, in his 5 hands.
It's not a.
5 hands.
He's going to go. He literally is building 2 hands. It's insane.
Regenerating.
You could have let Urza resolve.
You would have won, bro.
Just let it. Just let it happen.
No way.
This guy.